Hey friends, Dawn here, welcoming you to the Soul Goals podcast and year number 3. This year, we are diving into expanding our perspectives, challenging our belief systems, and working the mental and emotional muscles of our souls. Though still all about growth and connection, this year finds opportunities to hear from people in our communities that have walked a path that might be different from our own, but that ultimately present us with the chance to look at a subject in a different light and learn other ways we could approach challenges in our own world. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Soul Goals podcast. So glad to have my awesome guest, Bryan Neely, in the virtual house today. How are you today, Bryan?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's truly an honor.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. It's an honor for me. First of all, there's a lot of different things I want to say about Bryan, because as I dug in a little bit deeper about you, and I learned about you through my love of coffee, because Billy Goat Coffee Cafe has been like in my corner pocket for a while, since before you owned it actually too. And I do a Meals on Wheels route, and it drives past Billy Goat like literally twice a week. And I'm like, I have to stop in there. I have to stop in there. And I finally was like, I'm stopping and talking to you and learning a little bit more about what your mission is since you took on Billy Goat Coffee Cafe. But before we jump into that, let's just talk about what we are speaking about today, which is serving your community. That's our subject line today. And for me, as I learn more about you and as I sat and talked to you and your new wife, like you're just newly married, by congratulations. Yes. And as I sat there and talked to you guys that afternoon, it's just such an indelible thing, because you're both young, right? And I want to say, as you raise your eyebrows, you're like, yes. But I'm taking that into account for the fact that I think about the generation and carrying forward the service idea and how important that is to generations, multiple generations. And I feel like some of that can get lost along the way of competition and all the things that we have that are bombarding us nonstop in our world. So to see you guys serving in the way that you are, I think it was very touching. It was very, I really appreciated that. And I loved our conversation when we sat, just FYI, it was great.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bryan is an ultra marathon world champion, and let's go into that in just a little bit. But not only that, you're also an author. You have 2 books out. The most recent one was released this is the beginning of this year, beginning of 2026, called Mile 17. It's a devotional. Love that. I did look a little bit about that. It is available on Amazon. And then you have a second book that was released a couple of years ago called Embrace Your Roarrr.
Yeah.
With all the R's. That's a children's book. Yeah. So
yeah, it was written for kids, but it's really so much more than that. Like, it was also written for people, the adults that are reading it to them, even like businesses. And there's a lot in that book, that there's a lot more detail, but it's just an engaging story in a very simple way, creative way, I would say.
Love that. Love it. So again, serving the community. That's what you're doing, and serving the community across multiple layers. I didn't think about that. As a parent, I think about the books that I read to my kids when they were little, and I think about the impact that some of those stories had. That's a great way to look at it, Bryan. I hadn't even thought about that aspect and how that can cross over to not just like benefiting the kids that are hearing the story.
And like that, those are some of the cooler stories. Like, obviously, most of the people that it gets in front of at first is like parents that want to get a book for their kids and stuff like that. And like, that was a huge point of being able to use something like tangible that a parent could literally read and their kid would enjoy, but then they could teach them valuable life lessons. Like that was really the heart behind it. And then but it does, like, community is a big aspect of one of those pillars. And I just think it's so important. But yeah, the stories that I've had from parents, it blows my mind. And then one day I literally walked into Planet Fitness in Mount Juliet, and the manager has become somebody that I just have a lot of respect for. And we struck up a conversation, and she told me one day I'd walked in and I was like, oh, I don't remember, or I don't know if you remember who I am. And she's like, oh no, I remember who you are. I took your book and I shared it to like a leadership conference. And I was like,
Oh,
that's so cool. And literally this was when I first took over Billy Goat. So I was just getting out into the community, trying to show people like what I stand for, tell people what my vision is and what I'm really trying to do, and make an impact that's much bigger than one location or one business. And the second time I came into the gym, when she told me that, it like made my day. I was like, that's amazing. Like that is literally the heart from what it was written for. Like
yes.
so much more than just for kids. But like every time I have a parent tell me things about their kid, like it definitely puts a smile on my face. But that one was just because it's out of the ordinary. It's different, but it's along the same lines, and it applies to all of us, literally.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. It's out of the ordinary, and I think
Mhm.
that in spontaneity is where a lot of growth can happen, and a lot of
Just realness.
uncovering of
Yeah,
our kind of our gifts, if you will, and the things
absolutely.
that we can then give to other people, and the service that we can have to others.
Mhm.
So benefit. It's a win-win all the way across the board. But
Yeah.
also, you are also a Navy veteran, and
Mhm.
we spoke about Billy Goat Coffee Cafe. I mean, I would call you the coffee shop chaplain too.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been called that, and it totally
Yeah.
fits after talking to you.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's been something I was talking to somebody someday and it just like stuck and I was like, I'm gonna stick with that. Like I really like that. And the more that I've held on to that, the it's like the more that I've seen those opportunities to just be able to help people and walk through life and hard times. And it's really what like Embrace Your Roar is about. It's what the devotional really hones in on. And yeah, so I love it. I to this day I'm like to the point I even changed on like my Instagram bio. Like it's
Oh,
like that means it's official, right? Like
yeah, yeah. I love that. Oh, it's so good.
yeah.
Well, so let's kind of back up a little bit and talk about where all of this stuff started for you.
Mhm,
And obviously you were a product of the military. Like
mhm.
you traveled because your family was in the
Yep.
military from what I read. And also, where'd you come from? San Diego, right? That's where you originally
Right. So
raised?
I was born in San Diego, but I moved every 3 years of my life. I've lived on the East Coast, the West Coast, in the South, up North, in the Midwest, and I've lived in Hawaii. I've traveled all over the world. So I've literally been able to live. When people ask me like, "Oh, where are you from?" It's like, "How much time do you have? What do you want to hear?" Like so.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
But I think too, when we expand our horizons, I think about my kids. We would
Mhm,
rather, and we did this with it as we were growing up, travel and see things and go places and have those experiences. I think that's such a growth thing versus, buying a bunch of gifts and a bunch of things and
mhm.
doing those experiences to give them that life,
Absolutely.
right? And to be able to see other people and how other
Absolutely.
people are living. And like I love what you
Mm.
said, walking through life beside people and learning
Yeah.
how all that works. So what constituted you deciding to go into the Navy? Was it because of the background that you were with your family? Something that you knew, something that you felt strongly about?
I would say that definitely probably had some type of impact. I think I'd be lying if I didn't. Like subconsciously, I think that probably had an impact on my life.
Mhm.
But at the time, I really wanted to be a pilot, and then I had some opportunities where I got to fly, and was like, man, like I wanted to be like Top Gun. I wanted to do all this fun stuff, and then eventually I realized like I don't know if I want to do this for a career, but I had a full Navy ROTC scholarship coming out of high school. So I was faced with an opportunity. I had a couple of small schools that I could have went to play sports at in
Okay.
the Tennessee area, and I was like, I really wanted to do that. But when I got my full Navy ROTC scholarship, I just couldn't turn it down. I was like, this is an opportunity to really make something different of my life and to be able to set myself up regardless of what I want to do. And then, yeah, and then it just kind of transpired from there, I guess. So that's where it
Well,
started.
and also, if you think about that, the military is,
Mhm.
to me, I look at it. My father-in-law was a World War II veteran, and it's a community of service. You're serving the
Absolutely.
greater humanity. So to me, if we're talking about serving community, I feel like that was something that was probably pretty innate in you. And
Oh
in the
yeah,
fact that,
for
like,
sure.
you're explaining that you could have gone one direction or another, and you chose to go this direction says a lot about your constitution and your foundation about, what your
Yeah, and
values
like,
were
and
then.
I'm yeah, and I'm a very patriotic person. Like I love the opportunities and the blessing that we have in our country, and like there's some just beautiful areas in our country, and I know uh, from growing up a military kid, I knew like what the opportunities could come from going into the service. But I went in as an officer, opposed to like my dad was enlisted for 20 years, which is also a very different experience, and
Mhm.
one's not better than the other. Just depends, in my opinion, what people want to do, what they want their lifestyle to be like, so it's taking into account those things. But I have a, a upbringing of the service, and that definitely was stamped in me. But like my mom is a very big servant hearted person. Like she works in hospice care, and absolutely loves it. So like, and then my dad, he's always been like, he served in the military, but he's got that big service heart as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it kind of runs through a lot of my family. So for me, yes, at first it was an opportunity to pay for school, and then to line up like career type of things, and those things are important too. But I definitely was lured to, I want to serve, and I think that's what kept me doing what I did and helped me to do it as well as I was able to do it. But there were also some selfish reasons at first of why I wanted to go in, and but those selfish reasons would like definitely don't keep me where I was.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I think that's very honest and transparent of you to say, but I also don't think that that kind of thing can withstand it if you know
No,
that this is
definitely
ultimately
not.
where this is headed. Like, that selfishness is gonna peel away and crumble, and you're gonna get to the heart of what this really means for you eventually. I mean, I've seen that
Yeah,
in
for sure.
way too much in my life and my kids' lives and people around me.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like talent can get you in a room, but if you're a terrible person, you won't stay in that room very long because nobody wants to be around you. And it's like you can be the best at whatever it is, and I will have respect for you, but I don't really care to talk to you outside of that.
Mhm.
And I like now like I love being around high performers. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something different when you are around high performers that are servant focused and
Mm,
big community focused. It elevates, and really your performance rises up in a whole nother level, in my opinion, because you're not doing it about, it's not just for you. Like there's
yeah.
other people that are dependent or just can benefit from what you're doing. And like that to me, it really like I think we're all kind of hardwired in a way to have that servant hearted mindset. It's just sometimes life can kind of callous or take that away from some people, I think, at times.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point about, the servant heart and, when you're a high performer, no matter what it is you're doing, because I want that's a great piggyback into the next thing that you
Yeah.
undertook in your life. Because when you are coming from that place, it does elevate your game. It does elevate your
Mhm.
whole delivery and your whole experience. And just and I think it's really hard for competitors to kind of get to that point a lot of times. I think you probably have to have been broken down a good bit to
Yeah,
finally
for sure.
go, all right, here's the bottom. What's really the important piece to this for me?
Mhm.
What really matters and where do I need to how do I rebuild my foundation and what does that look like? And service in general with that servant heart you're talking about is such a place to start and is such a place that can lay that strong foundation for so many performers to
Mhm.
do so much more in their sport, to do so much more
Definitely.
in their work, and whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have been an ultra marathoner as well. So speaking about this, I do know that you were told at a young age that you weren't going to be able to do a lot of like long distance intensity kind of stuff because
Mhm.
of lung limitations. What was that?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I was in the hospital for about 19 days. Long story short, when it came time to leave the hospital, Um, I was told that I would never be able to run long distance and that I lost 40% of my lung capacity. And then it just, from a very young age, it was something that really motivated me. And that kind of like underdog type story, I think, is what at first really, I was like, like, you're not going to tell me like I can do this. And I think there's been a lot of years of practicing and putting in work to get to where I'm at now physically, for sure. But that's been a big thing for me. And in the ultra side of things, like the first thing that I did was an Ironman triathlon. I did a 70.3 triathlon, and that was like the first of, like I can do this. And then
Yeah.
it's just over years, it's just grew to be different things. And now it's an opportunity to push myself and to learn about myself. Like I tell people, ultra marathons is, I think, like for me, like going out, especially races, I think it's life's greatest classroom.
Yeah.
Because if like getting out there, you're gonna face challenges. Like any ultra marathon, you're gonna face challenges at some point, and you have to learn how to adapt. You have to learn to overcome. You have
Mhm.
to suck up your feelings. Like,
Oh, wow. Right.
yeah, and then also just the people that I've found are like truly my like ride or die type kind of squad, are
Yeah.
people that genuinely, they root for other people. They want to see you push yourself. And um so yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when those people are like you're talking about your ride or dies that are
Mhm.
the ones that are rooting for you, that are cheering for your success while you're cheering for theirs. There's so much room for all of us to have
Yeah,
success. It's not a limited amount in a pitcher. We can all
absolutely.
experience that and we can all have that. And I think if we can get to that servant heart you were talking about and we can really find what that is for us, then our pitcher doesn't ever dry up.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if you've ever heard the saying like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And
Mhm.
I think there's a beautiful thing when you combine the two of them, like in a way of, you're in an ultra marathon, like you have to run the race yourself. So you have to put yourself out there, and like I do like to run fast, and I do like to, if I'm gonna race, I want to win. But there's also something too, like specifically what I've seen in obstacle course racing and in ultra marathon running, is typically those communities of people. And like, there's definitely their outliers, don't get me wrong, but typically those communities are very supportive. And what I found is, like, when you take someone who's willing to put in the work and the hours and hours of training, not just physically but also mentally,
Mhm.
and you are willing to go into the trenches or into the valleys of life, and then you surround yourself with people that are also doing the same thing, it just, I mean, one, it elevates how fast you go wherever you're going. Two, it's just more fun. Like, it's more fun
Mhm.
for me, at least.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. It feeds off of each other basically, you know?
Absolutely.
Like it's your
Absolutely.
people. Yeah, when you
Yeah, absolutely.
find that, then it's here we go, embracing your roar. Oh, see
Yeah,
what I
for
did
sure. For sure.
there? So let's talk about your service. And when you're talking about, I think it bears to say, like when you're in the middle of an ultra marathon, when you're in the middle of a tough project, like with
Mhm.
a work situation, when you're in the middle of an illness with your infant child and it's never ending and it feels like the walls are closing in, or you're a new parent, or you're a parent of somebody that is struggling currently, or you've had a death of someone close to you. We're in those mindsets that are so hard. We feel like the layers have been peeled back. And the last thing we're thinking about is serving somebody else because we're sitting in our stuff and we're feeling like, oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, I'm so alone. This is so hard. It's so heavy. It's all spotlights on me kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I don't know that we do that from a place of victim as much as a place of just overwhelm, if you will.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about breakthroughs. And when you get to the base of those feelings, what does that do to you and being able to say, okay, how do I get out of my own way? What does service to other people and a community do to help get me off out of the basement up to the first floor?
Yeah. So I think if we're all honest with ourselves, like no matter how servant hearted somebody is, like there is a level of that selfishness inside, where it's like there's times where even though I am very servant hearted, like there's times where I'm like, I don't feel like doing this.
Mhm.
And I just I am overwhelmed. It would be the best way to describe it. And I think in those moments, like I think a lot of times for me now, most of the time I will say like I do think about like, okay, now, for instance, when I went through the ultra marathon, one of my last races I ran, I had won the race prior, but then this year that I went signed up to run this race, I had gotten through 17 miles, and at the 17-mile marker is when my right knee buckled, and so I had 10 hours to go in the race, and at this point, I was faced with the decision like, do I quit? Do I keep going? And at the time, like, I mean, I was in pain. I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I was questioning a lot of things. Like the year prior, I had won the race. So I'm like, what is going on? And I, in that moment, like I had to kind of stop and sit in, like, man, like, I mean, tears started to roll down my face because, like, there's that level of physically I'm hurting, mentally I'm devastated, and I'm
Mhm.
questioning, like, how the heck am I going to get through this when everything in me, I just want to throw in the towel. That's when I think the servant hearted side of things, like, it's not always about like me doing something for somebody else. Sometimes it's the other people can help pull you out. So like
Mhm.
for me, I was thinking about all the people that were looking to my story that for inspiration, all the people that were there supporting me or actually watching me. And then there's that other piece of, man, like, Bryan, you always say you want to be an inspiration, but this is where the inspiration really begins because anybody can do it when they're fresh. So, and I literally said that out loud to myself in the middle of the woods as I'm in pain. And
Yeah.
then from there, you just figure it out and you make a decision of, hey, like, this is my circumstance. It sucks. I'm in pain. It doesn't seem to have a light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm going to make a decision to break through. So like a lot of times I say you have to choose to rise up or you have to choose to break through because when you make that decision, then it's simple. It's not easy, but you just stay focused on the decision. Hey, I'm going to break through. And it doesn't mean you're going to have like you're not going to have breaking moments because that's still going to happen. Like we are human. No matter how good you get at something, no matter how mentally strong you get, you're going to have mentally weak moments. And in those moments, it's like, I'm choosing to break through, and this breakthrough is going to help somebody else eventually.
Mhm.
And then,
Mhm.
and honestly, usually what happens is it helps you probably more than you ever hear it helps somebody else,
Yeah.
because it is a journey, and so it does kind of tie hand in hand, I think, with serving and community. But at the end of the day, like you have to just make a decision because the longer that you don't, well, you're not doing anything. Like so,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Really like what you said, and correlating the two things. Like serving isn't always necessarily about
yeah,
what you're doing. Maybe
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
about what you're being and how you're being, like maybe there's a correlation there from
Yeah,
what you
like how
said.
you show up.
Yeah, well, I love what you said about making a decision. And
Hmm.
this is a great line that stuck out to me, what you just said. It's simple. Once you make the decision, it's simple. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yep.
I think if we can give ourselves that grace when you make a decision, when you're in a situation like that, then all right, one of the hardest pieces has been accomplished. I've chose this,
Yeah.
and now here we go. Yeah,
Hmm.
golly. I will tell you, I got involved with Meals on Wheels a couple of years ago. My
Hmm.
kids grew up in schools where they always had to serve, and it was a big community service was a big part of their curriculum from, I mean, first grade on through senior year of high school. And both of my girls in college now, like super busy, but actively go out and search for service community projects that they can do with it, and they make it work because it's just that important. But I want to go back to that whole how you live with that servant heart in that experience and how you exude that, like the example that you live and that you bring to your community. I think for me, if I look at you as a Navy veteran and sacrificing so much of your time in that capacity, because I look at anybody in the military and go, wow, like I have a lot of admiration for you choosing to do that, to lay your life on the line, to or to put your life on hold to do something that is completely selfless outside of yourself. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal, you know? And so first of all, thank you for your service. I didn't even tell you
Thank
that
you.
earlier, but thank you. But if you think about all that goes into that, you know, do you think that we automatically have that innate within us, or do you think that's something that we're trained for? Because like I think about you, and after I've talked to you, I feel like that's a big foundation of who you are, a pillar of who you are generally. But
Absolutely.
what if people don't have that? Do you think maybe their experiences can help train them to find that servanthood within them? Or is it maybe through their traumas or their negative situations that they've had to kind of fight through to get to the top of? I mean, maybe it's a combination of all of it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I think there's both, right? Like, I think there's personally, I believe that we are all like, I believe we are all created in the image of God. And like, I'm a Christian, and like in the Bible, it says God came to serve, not to be served, right? So, like, I think there is that innate in all of us. And
Yeah.
so I think we're hardwired that way. But you still have to, like, just because we're hardwired that way doesn't mean like every day I wake up and I'm just like, I'm gonna surf today, like, because that's not true.
Yeah.
There's days where I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed today. Like,
Yeah.
um, but so I think it is a mix of both. Like, I do believe we have, and like, think about, even like when people do nice things for other people, it tends to, like, there's something to that. Like, there's, when you give something, like, I think there's a reason why, like, around November, December, sometimes January timeframe of the year, like, people are in that Christmas spirit, like giving spirit, and I think there's something to that. Like, there tends to be a lot more joy and like our happiness around,
Mhm.
and for in everybody. But I think, like, that doesn't just have to be in part of the year. Like, I think we are hardwired that way, but life circumstances can kind of throw dirt on top of that in a way of, man, like, I'm just going through a hard season, or I lost somebody, or I don't understand what's going on. I don't know where I'm going to go next. I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill. I don't know how my kid's going to make it. Like, whatever the situation is, I think there's, like, life circumstances, to say that it doesn't affect you, I think is unrealistic. Because no matter how good you are at whatever you do, or at the end of the day, we're all human. And
Right.
some people, I think, do tend to have more like servant hearts and like personality towards that. I believe that without a doubt. But I
Mhm.
think a part of it's in all of us. It's just a matter of whether we're gonna choose to just stay selfish, or we're gonna actually, like, choose to I don't know, to walk in it. I think there's a mix of
Yeah.
both of them, personally.
Yeah, and I wanna say too, and I always talk about 2 concepts, existing in the same soup bowl. I say that a lot, but
Yeah.
I want give me your input on this, like, the striving to achieve and accomplish, like you talked about, like, when you run a race, I mean,
Mhm.
there's a desire in you to win. You have trained, and that's a deep feeling for you. Obviously, anybody that trains to do those kind of things is that's a drive, and that's your
Mhm.
goal, but can you also exist in the servanthood? And how do you do that? How do you balance the striving and the competition side with the maybe this is going to sound kind of crazy, but with the elegance or the
Yeah.
maybe the graciousness of serving and having that kind of that belief that goes hand in hand, the two things existing simultaneously, balancing them.
Yeah, so I think for me, like, this is where it it kind of is servant hearted, but then there's also like this selfishness side of, like, I desire to become the best person that I can be.
Mhm.
So, for instance, like, I did a ultra marathon obstacle course race a couple years ago, and I was definitely not a favorite to win. Like people knew me, but in the longer distance, like at the time, I had a tendency to kind of just be out front and then kind of fail off. And
Mhm.
just because it was something I wasn't as experienced in the obstacle course racing realm. But I was a lot more trained going into this race than I was prior. And when I went in, I just kind of had my pace and my plan, and I was like probably like I was in the top 10 like to start out, but then it kind of started to fizzle and like I started to get closer to the top. And then it was a 31-mile race. And so around like mile it was somewhere around the 20-ish ballpark.
Mhm.
A really good friend of mine was running the race and he was a heavy favorite to win. And well, I was in second place at the time and I saw him just struggling and during the race I passed him and I was like, "Hey man, like you need to pick it up, man." Like just motivated him and just kind of was like, "I want you at your best and I desire to win, but I don't desire to win because you had a bad day. Like
Oh, that's so great.
I desire to beat you at your best, knowing that hey, like I did everything I possibly could and I didn't win because of an excuse." Um
Oh,
now like so that is a big piece I think where like during the race I was there motivating my opponent and I've done that multiple times in races and sometimes you kick yourself for it because like you motivate them and then they kick it in gear and then they pass you and it's like dang it why did I do that I should have kicked while
right,
you were down and then
right.
it's like but it's like I desire when I'm racing like these are my friends like racing is no longer just a trophy for me it's a
Mhm.
community and it's an opportunity like again, no, even if I win the race, like nobody really cares. At the end of the day, nobody they'll look up to you for winning, but if you treat them like crap, nobody's gonna want to be around you. And like at the end of the day, the winning the trophy, I think in my opinion, has nothing on winning the friendship and winning the best version of myself.
Mm.
So I could fall short in the race, and that's happened to me before. But at the end of like I could feel like I won the race because I gave everything I had. And
Mhm.
like my my identity, I think, is not fixed on my outcome as much as it is like who I am and embracing my roar of like who I really am deep down, and
Yeah.
then going through the race. And then it's just, hey, this is a classroom. It's time for me to develop, and it's time for me to grow. And then after this race, it's like, so that's kind of the competitors are really just the external forces that help me to become better.
Yes.
That I think is where, like, I want to win, but through a race, it's like if I'm in a race that's going back and forth between lead changes, it's really frustrating. It's a lot of fun to win hands down and nobody's near
Mhm.
you. Um,
Totally.
but the best and the most rewarding races to look back on are not the ones where I win by a mile or blow people out the water. It's the ones where I have to um, go back and forth, and I have to deal with the mental aspect of man, like, do I have it in the tank to push through this one more time? And then somehow, some way, you just find a way, and you just keep going. And so I think there is a servant side of wanting to push my opponents who are also kind of my friends. But that's not
Mhm.
just in athletics. That's also in business. That's in life. I think that's where I just desire to be in circles of people that want to grow, and I want to bring something to the circle that I'm in. But I also like it's not just about me, like
Right.
if that makes sense.
It makes so much sense. That's such a wonderful statement that I'm gonna tuck in my pocket and take with me. I want you at your best,
Yeah,
because when
absolutely.
you're at your best and I'm at my best, I'm working to be at my best, then what we're looking at is this growth as a humanity, right? And
Yeah,
it is because I think that's so profound what you talked about, because as competitors, and again, we can take it into everything, like you said, not just athletics. We can talk
mhm.
about social circles. We can talk about church
Yeah,
groups, even. We can talk about your work and the group that you have to do the project with. Like all of
absolutely.
those different things apply to that concept about we don't have to be we're in direct competition, but we're not in direct competition because we all just want to push each other to be the best pieces and the best parts that we can be to that project, if you will.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's a really refreshing way to look at competition as a whole and striving and setting goals. And then it does
takes the pressure off. It takes the
yeah.
pressure off too, that's honestly what's helped me the most is I
Mhm.
go to it more of like, I'm not here to find out whether or not I'm the winner. Like the winner is already decided. It's just who's going to show up. Like, and it's just a matter of, you just have to go through whatever it is. And, in racing, like I love to race so much now because it just spills all the way over to my life. And,
Yes.
and that to me is, the race has nothing to do with it. It's more of how I'm developing as a person. That to me is more important.
And that's what you said. It's the classroom for you. Like your
Absolutely.
athletics has just become the classroom to developing and growing,
Absolutely.
outside of that. Such a big deal too. Think about when you're competing and what that has taught you, the lessons of resilience, the
Mhm.
opportunities for growth, all the different things that nurture that piece that help you be a better Bryan, be
Mhm.
the best version of yourself that you can be for your community that you then extend outward, and the ripple effect that that has for everybody around you.
Yep.
And if we think about that in creating the community that you're in right now at Billy Goat, which is the coffee cafe that you own in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, you
Mhm.
think about the kind of the hub, if you will, of that community and what you're trying to create, because you're a new business owner with this, right? Within the
Mhm.
last
Couple
2
of
years?
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
within 2 years, year and some
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the coffee shop as a whole and maybe how you're obviously you're still an ultra marathoner, you're still racing. So
Yeah.
the two things are, I mean, you're still learning, you're still growing, but how that has transpired into owning a coffee shop, owning a business, and what you've learned from those competitive pieces and how you bring all that into that part of your life.
Yeah. So I've learned so much. I think I think
It's a loaded question. I feel like maybe that was
yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
as far as like, I think the number one way to grow is to be an entrepreneur. You will see a lot of moments where you're like, why am I doing this? And then you see a lot of moments of, I know exactly why I do this.
Yeah.
And so since taking over the coffee shop, like for me, so I bought the shop in August of 2024. I didn't start drinking coffee until really the beginning of that year. So like I
Wait,
didn't
hold please. Wait, that's crazy.
yeah, so I didn't really know anything about coffee at all. Um I mean,
Okay.
I even like to the point like when I was trying different coffees, I'm like I couldn't tell you if this was good or if this was bad. But through just friendships and through eventually I started drinking coffee prior to taking over the shop. But it was one of those things like I had to learn a lot. I had to learn a lot from the baristas that were on the staff when I took over. And I knew the business side of things I wasn't worried about because like I'm very entrepreneur minded. I have had experience in business like that to me was not a concern at all. Like I knew I was going to be really good at that.
Yeah.
Um, and the coffee side I didn't know, but to me, I'm not in a coffee business. I'm in a people business, and I'm very, very good at that because I've been around and I've been in a lot of very hard operations and much bigger operations where I was set up to fail on paper and just by how I took care of my people and I had opportunities that I was successful in and I made mistakes, but those mistakes were learning lessons, and they became just because of how I took care of my team and people I was around, and my peers, and also my superiors. Like how much I tried to just be a sponge and absorb and learn.
Yeah.
Putting all those things into practice, like I just saw an opportunity that I just felt led to take over the shop and it has not been all sunshine and rainbows. There's been days where I'm questioning a lot why I did this.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but there's also so many friendships and so many just rewarding moments. Like
Mhm.
I wouldn't be here today on this call if it wasn't for taking over the shop and
Right.
or this podcast. And so there's been a lot of beauty, but it's just been all about trying to create a space where people can come and they can rise up in their own way in their own life.
Yeah.
So being able to shine light and spread love to people, and that looks differently. Sometimes it's through like our prayer gatherings that we have. Sometimes it's through with different worship events we've held. Sometimes it's through run clubs that we have every week. We've had yoga classes. We've had painting classes, like you name it. We've open mic nights, all kinds of stuff. And it's all about community and just bringing
Yes.
people together to be a safe place. I don't like the way I treat you doesn't have anything to do with what you believe,
Mhm.
what race you are, your background, how much money you have. Like that stuff, I think we strive to be a place that people can come real, raw, however they're feeling, mountaintops or valleys of life, and they can get high quality coffee and a treat to just help them sometimes through their morning
Mhm.
or to just power them through a work assignment, a meeting, a date, whatever it is. Um, the I don't want to put a parameter or box around what's possible in that place because
Ooh, yeah.
I've already seen things that blow my mind.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I
so
think
that
when you create that environment for people, that
mm,
it just allows them to come into this trusting space, and when we feel trust and we feel comfort and we feel at ease,
yeah,
then we're open to so many other things, and it's about more than the coffee, you know? I mean,
absolutely,
it's so much more than that. It's a people business. I love what you said, and I also hear you saying that the process of this is very humbling. There's a lot of humility that you have to step through and you have to step into. And I think
for
when
sure.
we acknowledge that and we know that and we're not afraid. We're not afraid to do that, which I hear you saying you're not afraid to do that. And when you're
No,
not,
there's been things I've had to learn that areas where I'm like, man, like I know this is good, but it's not working. So
Mhm.
I've had to pivot. And I think as like entrepreneur side of things, I think that's one of the well, success in general, I think in life, I think that's one of the most important things is not being so tunnel vision, but being willing to adapt and to be flexible. And I think like that's probably one of the biggest things that made me successful in the service was, and I had to learn because it used to drive me off the walls because I was like,
Yes.
we were going to do this. Nope. Sorry. Plans change. And
Oh,
it's like, man, okay, well now I have to figure it out because I can't make an excuse. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
Especially when there's like real world implications, like you just figure it out.
Mhm.
And that's been, to me, it is a challenge, but it's also fun. It's like a game, and it's and realistically, the consequences are not near as much as they've been in the past for me with what
Sure.
I'm doing. So it's yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned still
Mhm.
every
Mhm.
day. Um,
Always. Always. Yes.
but to me, the best part of the coffee shop is the people I get to meet and the people
Yeah.
that I get an opportunity to serve, whether they are customers or whether they are my staff. Um,
Yeah. What are you seeing walking through the door like recently? What's something that maybe just I mean, we talk about the things it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time,
mhm.
obviously, but there are some very rewarding things that will probably remind you about the why that you have and what is your why for doing this and what is your why for create more than that, not just owning the business, but creating this community that does have that servant heart to it and the importance of it. Like, what are some of the things, or maybe there's a standout situation that you can share that you just that's really touched you, that's really
Yeah.
shown you, hey, we're doing the right thing here by creating this community and serving in this way.
Yeah, without a doubt, the thing I would say that I would pinpoint to say like a moment has been so my book, Embrace Your Roar, I pushed that out a lot and like was one day I had got asked to have I was getting interviewed actually in Billy Goat by a lady who has a magazine and she was talking to me about all kinds of different stuff. And then I was talking to her about my book at this point, and then this guy comes in and he's trying to sell a stun gun to one of my employees. So
Ooh.
I told the lady, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I can't have this guy in here doing this. Like, I had to go talk to him. So
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, this is the nerves of this dude. And so I went over there to talk to him, and then there was a guy sitting across the other side of the cafe at a table, and I got to talking about my book with this guy. Somehow we segued to talking about that, and this guy overhears me. Well, he's a co-founder of an organization called Lantern Lane Farms. They do a lot of counseling, like using horse therapy and all
Yeah.
kinds of just really good stuff. And we struck up a conversation. He got one of my books, and then I scheduled a time to go to their farm and to get a tour, and then just to talk to him and one of their directors. And it was just an awesome experience. But then, so I think it was a month or so later that I come into the cafe, and one of my employees gives me a card and it's like, hey, this lady came by. She really wants to meet with you to talk about writing a book to honor her son. She had just lost her son in a tragic car accident um, in Mount Juliet. And through this process, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her. I want to help her. And what I did was I reached out to her. We set up a time to meet at the cafe after hours one day. And she had told me that she got my book from Lantern Lane Farms, or she
Aw.
had came across it there, and that she really just wanted to, on the slight chance of hope, just sit down and see if I would talk with her about how I did it. And I told her, I said, you know, like, I could charge you for stuff like this, but I just want to help you. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a big heart for what you're walking through now.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm doing at the cafe, a lot in just my life, a lot of it comes from hardship that I've had to walk through. And
Mhm.
I was on a military funeral honors detail. So I've served 195 military funerals, and I've also been at a lot of funerals personally.
Yeah.
So for various reasons, and I had to walk through. I've lost people to drug overdoses, to gunshots, to um, tragic car accidents, boating accidents, you name it. And so when I heard this and I sat down and talked to this lady, and her husband, I just had a chance to use this cafe as a space that literally was right up the alley of the vision of, I just want this to be a space where people can come to be uplifted spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally.
Mhm.
And so that was just the start of the conversation. Since then, I've talked to them multiple times. They've really just become good friends of mine. They've published the book. Like, I just told them, I was like, just get your story written, and then I'll help you however I can help you. And
Yeah.
then they published the book, and then we actually did a book signing thing, like event at the coffee shop. This was recently.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
books, yeah, the book
What's the name
signing
of the
event
book?
was recently. It's be like, so the phrase is be a Kyler. It's be kind. I'm blanking on the exact name, but
It's okay.
the name of the kid that passed away is Kyler Gatika.
Okay.
So but it's all about being a Kyler and like spreading kindness.
Mm,
And it's a beautifully written book. It's also like a kid's book.
mhm.
It's an illustrated book, and it's really good. But the heart behind it is, they have a big like thing for just talking about like distracted driving and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
things that really impacted their family and where they're at today. And their story is it's hard, but it's
Yeah.
touching a lot of people and um, helping a lot of people. And I think for me, like the things that I've been able to do, a lot of it roots from the hard times that I've walked through and the times where I
Mhm.
wanted to give up, and I've just seen God's grace and his love all over my life, and like I just try to shine that light and love to other people, and that
Mhm.
looks differently. Sometimes it's through a conversation, sometimes it's I just have it on my heart, like, your coffee and your food's on me today.
Yeah.
Or
That's
or
beautiful.
yeah, or maybe it's like an event that we put on, or
Mhm.
um, yeah, so it varies. But it's
Yeah.
just it's a platform, it's a tool in my toolbox that I can use at the right times to serve people.
Yeah, and it's serving through loss, like the story that you just
Mm.
shared about the lady writing the book to honor her son who passed away. It's and you talking about the different things that you've walked through and the losses
Mhm.
that you've had and the hardships that you've faced. It's figuring out how to find that service mentality even though we walk through those situations and what that
Mhm.
can do to feed not only you, but obviously the other people that you're serving, but that we can allow that give and take to happen. And you just said it earlier in our conversation. Sometimes it's, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
bears to say this again because that's so I just think that's really profound. And I think people need to hear that it's not always about doing all the time. That service is there's
Yeah.
more to it than just that. There's a
Sometimes
complexity
you
to it.
can't, like, sometimes you can't do, like, because
Mhm,
you're so broken that it's like, I can't do it. Like,
mhm,
I'm just here. And but the
mm,
thing is, like, sometimes, like, that's all that they need, right? So I went through when I first left active duty military and I moved back to Tennessee, I lost my 21-year-old cousin to suicide. And I had lost a lot of people at a young age, but this one just it hit a little different for many reasons. Um, but I- well, fast forward from that, I had an opportunity. I was at a funeral in Tuscumbia, Alabama, and this is actually there's a part of this story in the devotional. And I went to this funeral, and it was in, I mean, middle of what felt like nowhere,
mhm,
and there was a lot of people at this service. The family had just lost. I mean, within like a very very short amount of time, they lost a lot of people.
mhm.
And like 10 days prior, the dad had passed away, and
Oh,
then we were doing a service to honor the son, and we had to hand a flag to his wife, who was literally about my age. It was raining, and as I'm standing there in this at the service, like as we're playing taps, I'm just thinking, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. Like this service is too close to home. I feel like I'm in deja vu. I feel like I'm at my cousin's funeral, but the difference is I'm not just I'm not just at the service where I have a chance to like grieve and just be me. I'm having to be strong in a place that I feel completely broken. And
mm,
that's where I think the service side of things can help you in a way, like pull you out. But it's like
mhm.
I've had, like really I just prayed. I'm like, God, like I need your strength. I need your help to really lean in. And it's helped me through those really hard times. And then the tying in, because there's times where I'm like, I don't have the capacity, I don't have the energy to serve, I don't have the desire to serve. But there's times where it's like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do, but I'm still gonna show up.
Yeah.
And and
Mm,
and sometimes it's like when you do that enough, I think you find yourself in a community of people that on in those moments or in those seasons of life, or just on those days where like you don't feel like you have the capacity to serve, typically somebody will help you because in like it's just it's we're rowing the boat to get like together to
mm.
go to the
That's perfect.
same mission,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
we're trying to get to the same port, the same destination. In
Yeah.
order for us to do that, we got to row together. But us rowing together might look very differently, right?
Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
look very differently.
Mhm.
Like in a house, right? It's like it could be, hey, I'm gonna cook dinner, you're gonna wash the dishes, or some like just tag teaming and or you hey, you don't feel like talking for this person, let me talk to this person, you go handle this in the back of the business. um so it's just it's navigating with an open heart and an open mind to
Mhm.
say, hey, like at the end of the day, we just want to love and we just want to serve people because that's
Yeah.
what i I believe like we are put on earth to do. And like I made that decision, like I'm going to follow in these footsteps, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to serve the way that I was put on this earth to serve, and to love the way I was put on this earth to love, and the way that I'm loved. And I think when you remind yourself of those things, I think it changes everything.
Yes, yes. Yeah, you have to remind yourself you have to step into those shoes. You just
Mhm.
have to do that. It and it's worth it. I think that's the bigger thing. It's really worth it. And the payoff, the
Mhm.
reward that comes from doing that for not only yourself, but the community surrounding you. Like
Yeah,
that's
but
where I
the thing is though, it's like if you do it with the intention of, hey, it's going to come back to me, it doesn't
Mhm,
have the same outcome as if you
mhm.
just do it because it's the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
only like people will fluff that out, but it's like that's one big thing. And honestly, that's been a really hard thing for me to learn at Billy Goat, is like trying to partner with different people in the community. There's like everyone loves the idea of community. Everyone loves the idea of, yeah, let's do this. We're going to serve our community. But when people really like get to the nitty gritty of it, it's like, hey, that actually means like we both have to do this. We both have to give. And it's not about us. It's about, we might lose something in the beginning, but in the long run, we actually are going to gain so much more. But that so
Yeah.
much more might not be finances. You might lose on the financial department, but what you're going to gain with support, community, like your purpose, like that's where at the initial point, like it gets a lot of people, and there's
Mhm.
various reasons, right? Like some people, I think they hunker down because they're going through hard times in life. They're stressed. They don't have faith that they can overcome it. Whatever
Right.
it is, there's many reasons, and
Mhm.
sometimes there is some level of being responsible and doing certain things. So it's not a catch-all like situation, right?
Right.
But I think in big picture, like you can't go into it with the mindset of, I'm going to serve so I can get something in the return, because it
Yeah.
never turns out that way. But when, at least in my opinion, but when
Yeah. Oh,
you,
you're right. You're right.
yeah, because like at least in the right circles, because if,
Mhm.
if you're in the right circles with people, like it typically, like I've been around some really, really top performing people in business, in the military, in athletics.
Mhm.
And one thing I found is the the best people, they want to be around the other best people.
Yes.
And the only way they stay in those circles and they continue, because they realize we're going to get better. We're going to get better faster if we stay together, opposed to, hey, I'm just going to do this myself. And
Yeah.
then, but like through the process, it's like nobody wants to be around people who just want to do it for themselves. It's like,
Correct. Yeah.
what is the driving force behind you? And that's, I think, the big kicker. Uh,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
love the picture. Well, the picture you said about rowing the boat. We're all headed to the same port and we're all in that boat rowing together. And I
yeah,
mean, you can look at it a multiple different ways. Like maybe today you're on this side of the boat and your partner's on the other side of the boat. And when you
mhm,
row a boat, golly, that's hard work and you're one-sided, but you have to rely on the other part to be the other side. Maybe you have
yeah,
to swap, like you talked about. It's about negotiating and going, okay, well, I'll do this and I'll pick up this. It's about picking up the slack for one another and helping each other in that way. But
mhm,
man, I think that for me, what I hear you saying is you have to follow the intention. Like you have to be intentional about that servanthood and
yeah,
where your priorities for that are. And that's where the fruitfulness comes back
mhm,
in multitudes. And the overarching picture, like I love what you said too about, sometimes it's not about the financial win. Sometimes it's about the reward that you get along the way. And I
yeah,
think sometimes we don't get those answers to our whys. It's like, why? This is what I was trying for. Why didn't it happen? But you
mhm,
got another gift in that service and in that contribution that you may just be overlooking because your intention was over here versus, you know, where it
yeah.
was
And
set
it could
in the first
be
place.
like, and it could be like on a business side too, because like you might lose on the financial side at the surface, like at the beginning, and to see it, but it's like you might gain a connection with somebody that a couple years down the road points you to much bigger financial gain than you ever could have done without
Yeah.
that connection. So that's where I think like just treating people right and doing the right thing, out of a genuine heart, tends to be much better off. Like, hey, I'm just here to serve. Like, and my heart shifted a lot since taking over the coffee shop. Of when I first bought it, I was like, it's just this is just an investment. Like I love serving the community. It is a people thing. Like, but eventually I want to scale it and I want to grow it. But like, there's the heart was it like it wasn't about the money, but there was something where I'm like, I want to scale this and I want to grow it. And then over time, that became like, I just want to focus on loving and serving the people in front of me. And
Mhm.
if it turns out to, or if it turns out to be something I scale, then great. But if not, then I want it to be the best one location that it can. And I
Yes.
want it to scale in different ways. Because like there is still that growth mindset on the business front, but it's like we're all, I think, learning in that service department per se can look
Mhm.
differently in different seasons of life. And just as we grow personally, I think there's a lot of layers to it.
Oh, totally, totally. That just kind of put something in my brain here. I want
Yeah.
your thoughts on this one. You know, the doing the right thing. A lot
Mhm.
of times when we hesitate and we may know that the right thing is, but what is that hang up for a lot of us in terms of doing that right thing when it comes to service or even maybe we could even speak a little bit beyond that too, but doing the right thing where service specifically is, is involved
Mhm.
when we know that if we just did a little bit of this or if we just gave up a little bit of our ego in this way and just allowed,
Yeah.
from multiple different layers, why do you think that is challenging for people to do? Is it an ego-based thing? Is it an experience, like jaded experience thing? Is it a foundational they've not been taught that? Like where do you think that can come
I,
from for
I think
people?
it varies. Like I think every situation is going to be a little different. Every person is going to be a little different. I would say fear tends to be a
Mhm.
big thing. I think people are afraid of standing up and being outcasted because they're the one that's standing up for what's right, and their peer group is telling them to do something else because they're afraid of whether, like in business, they're afraid they might lose their job, or in corporate type stuff, they're afraid they might lose their job. Um, when it comes to doing the right thing when nobody's looking, like they might just be trying to save them time, but in the long run, what they're going to do is create more time added,
Mhm.
like and more
Mhm.
headaches because they didn't do the right thing the first time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it really varies. Like a lot of it can also be pride and selfishness. I think people are afraid to put their pride and their ego down. And
Mhm.
I think we all have to be careful of it, including myself. It can be so easy to fall into, oh, I just won a world championship. I'm the best at what I'm doing. But in
Yeah.
reality, it's like, okay, the world championship's over. Who are you today? And what are you doing?
Mhm.
And it's like there's other areas outside of a competition. Um, and just in life in general. So I think it varies,
Absolutely.
and I don't think it's safe to be able to say it's always pride or it's always fear. But I would say I think if I had to guess, I would say those two probably tend to be a big part of it
Yeah.
because people have their own, like we all have our own life going on, and
Mhm.
there is that selfish like, oh, I'm looking after my family, like it has to go this way,
Mhm.
or I'm I have a goal and an expectation of what I'm trying to do by this time, and if I veer the course a little bit, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah,
So there's like not being willing to adapt and take like there's so many factors to that. I think it really depends on the situation.
for sure. What do you think that hesitancy is that people have to serving? Do you think that kinda goes hand in hand with that pride maybe or the different things
Uh,
that you just spoke
I
of?
I think it's probably laziness personally more
Okay.
than anything, like
Yeah.
because it is hard to serve people sometimes. Like to serve
Mhm.
them in the right capacity when it's needed most, it tends to be when it's least convenient. And
Oh,
people are
yeah.
so fixed on their own life, and like this is where I think just my mindset is very different is I know I've done 195 military funerals. I've been in a lot of funerals, and I've realized like one day we're all going to die, and
Yeah.
that could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be 100 years from now. And it's like having that realization of tomorrow's not promised changes your outlook on life. And then
Mhm.
when you do hard things in life, I think you gain a level of appreciation of just how you handle things. So I think part of it is being willing to serve. There's a selfish side. There's a lack of um, it's perspective. It's like a lack of really big picture. of, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like this isn't as big a deal, or it's just I'm fixated on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of work to serve people. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's hard because sometimes I don't want to serve people because they do me wrong or they say something that I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with this or whatever it is. But there's a lot of customer, or I shouldn't say a lot. There's customers that come through Billy Goat that I could care less to ever see again. And
Mm-hmm.
there's people in my life that I've served in the military that I could care less to see again, right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not everyone that you see in life you're going to get along with very well, but you can find a way to serve them because I think when you do that, it really, you might not change the person, you might not change the situation, but you're going to change how you look at the situation or how you look at the person. And at the end of the day, that's going to change. That's more so than changing the person in the first place because now you're much stronger. You've developed and grown as a person. So when it comes across your path in life again, you're going to handle it a lot differently. Um,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot to it, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that humanness that you just
Yeah.
experienced and you explained right there, because that's such a big piece. I think that a lot of us would like to say, like, I like what you said. It's serving isn't always, and it doesn't happen at the most convenient times. It isn't always easy. We do
Most
have
of
a
the time it
choice.
happens when it's not convenient.
Yeah.
At
Like,
least the
yeah.
ones, but like all this, the stories that I really look back on in my life that mean the most to me are the ones that I didn't want to answer a phone call right before I'm about to go to sleep. And
Yeah.
then that turned out to be one of the most just meaningful conversations that really just helped somebody get out of a rut or just encourage them to make it another day, not make a rash decision.
Mhm.
Um, or there's been times where I was in downtown Nashville and honestly, I was on my way home and came across a couple that like we knew something was wrong. Well, then that led to me like helping this person that was trying to jump off a bridge in Nashville. Like I spent all evening making sure this person didn't go jump off this bridge, and like there's in the moment we did the best that we could with where we were and tried to honor and show love and serve the people that were in need. But I
Mhm.
mean, I wanted to go home. Like I lived
Yeah.
at the time I was 45 minutes from where I was, and I was like, I'm here on leave from right before I go on my military deployment. Like I don't want to be here. I'd rather just go
Yeah.
home. But if I would have done that, who's to say that person would have been alive today? And that person had
Mhm.
two little boys and a husband. And it's like to think about that is like, man, that one little decision, you just don't know what it's going to do for somebody.
Yeah.
And when you've seen 195 funerals for all kinds of reasons, it really changes. Like, and not just seeing them, but like
Be in them. Yeah,
got
like
in, like
participate in that
yeah, and
way.
like had to get down and hand a folded flag to somebody, whether it's a little girl, whether it's a person in their 30s, 40s, 20, whatever, or their 90s. Like it,
Mhm.
it's I think bringing humanity to every aspect of life, I think is important. And I think today's society kind of tries to do the opposite because we try to turn people into robots.
I'd agree.
And I think, yeah, and I think that there's, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of beauty, I think, to the things that we have access to tool wise with like electronics and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of human connection that is like we are emotional connected people.
Yep.
And I think that is something important to not forget. We're
Mhm.
relational beings.
Yeah, we are wired for connection too. Like we're wired
Absolutely.
to like that's that hard drive to serve and to want to
Absolutely.
do and want to be in that capacity, but we're also hardwired to connect. That's like that's my platform here. That's the soul goals.
Yeah.
It's we are wired to for connection, and
Mhm.
it's such an important piece for that relatability. Let's talk a little bit about. I just want to ask kind of a wrap up question for you personally.
Yeah.
How has serving your community maybe healed you? What has it done for you personally? Like I know that might be a loaded question right there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like it's worth the ask because I know how transparent you've been in this conversation. I'm so thankful for that, and I think
Mhm.
it's wonderful that you're sharing in that way. So, Yeah, if you feel compelled
Yeah.
to share.
I mean, I would say in ways like the theme of like love and support, I think has probably been one of the biggest things that I've seen. So back when I transitioned from active duty military, I went through a really, really hard breakup, and I went through just a breakup of really all areas of my life,
Yeah.
career, personal, family, like so many ways. Um, and it was really hard. And I looked back and like just the theme of love is something that I really, really wrestled with. And like people actually showing up, but not just showing up, but being there continuously and actually supporting and being genuine and authentic.
Yeah.
And then so at one point, like I was asked to lead a vow renewal for my mom and my stepdad, and they wanted me to do it. And I was single at the time, and I'm like, I'm not qualified to do this. I don't want to do this. But it was kind of something that was needed, and it allowed me the opportunity to learn and to really think about like what is love. And then I came up really with an acronym that just popped in my head one day, and I'll get to your question, but this kind of
Yeah.
feeds into
Yeah,
it.
you're good. You're good.
And so like love, that the L stands for laughter, the O stands for obstacles, the V stands for victory, and the E stands for everything extra. And the whole thing was like love is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, like laughter is typically in a relationship setting, like starts out with all fun and games, and then you face obstacles, and then when you choose to overcome those obstacles, you experience victory, and then when you experience victory, etc. But like every decision, every time you choose love, it was one step closer to our eternal love.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that just really resonated with me, that I held on to after I had spoke it. And then at Billy Goat, so like I had just walked through a lot of just hard things, I think, in life, and challenges. Like I didn't know anybody in Mount Juliet at the time of buying the cafe, and I just hit the ground running and was just trying to show people like I'm trying to spread love the way that I'm loved. And
Yeah.
in the deep dark moments of life when I want to give up, I want to be that person that can be there for someone else like they were for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want people to experience like true love and true support and true community. And that is really, really hard to do for anybody. But I also like I met my wife through Billy Goat. So like there was aspects of like a relational kind of love that the cafe kind of opened a door, and like that walked in, like that was a big piece of it, of
Yeah.
healing, of being able to just things that I've walked through in the past couple of years, to my upbringing as a kid and things that I had to walk through and wrestle with.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was an area of healing that I faced like through different things that I was doing. But then also just the people and the support that I had through the community that I've built and that's still building. The people that have just walked into my life and really been loving and supportive, and have also just jumped on board with what I'm doing, and you see it kind of trickle through the community. And I think that is something that it's been, I mean, there's been a lot of moments where I'm just like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
And
Right.
like it's because it is a lot of work,
Right.
but there's a lot of healing that's taken place in my heart
Mm-hmm.
from just like loving people that hurt you, loving people
Mm-hmm.
that don't get behind your vision, loving people who make bad reviews, loving people who come in and they're just disgruntled and they're very rude. That's an area of healing that I've had to like. I mean, I believe in top level customer service, but even giving top level customer service and even having experience in serving people in that capacity, it's still hard. It's still
Yeah.
hard sometimes to be like, I don't have to be loving to you. Like, just
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well,
um,
it exposes our humanness. You're right.
yeah, and it's like being
Mhm.
real. And I mean, I've lost a really good friend of mine not too long ago, that that was just kind of seeing my staff really rally around, going through some personnel challenges and mistakes, like things that I learned of better ways to handle certain things as an owner of a cafe, and um, things like that. Like I've had to heal and grow as a leader and
Yep.
as a person in general, and balancing just life. Because I mean, just because you own a cafe doesn't make life stop. Like there's
Right.
other challenges that I have to walk through, and striving to be an athlete and compete at a high level. Like there's a lot of sacrifices and a lot of things that you can get so caught up in what that bad thing that person said, or sometimes it's just, that person was frustrated and they didn't
Mhm.
have to say anything. Maybe they were afraid to tell you, but
Mhm.
you just know that you messed up on giving them the highest level of service that you could have. And like there's been this is a funny story. So this actually happened a couple weeks ago, or somewhere around that ballpark. I was helping a lady with drive through. It was like right before we closed, and this lady comes through, and I wasn't like, I mean, I was tired. It was a long day. I wasn't really paying attention as much. It was just me helping her, and I didn't notice her right away. Just she came in, and I saw her, and then I took her order, but I made her drink wrong, and then I asked her like, oh, like what'd you think? And prior to the like that, we'd had a different part of the conversation we were talking about that tied in, and she's like, oh, it would have been better if I had this. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, so then I was like, I just had in my mind, I was like, I'm just gonna give this lady her drink for free. I'm not worried about it. I was
Yeah.
like, it's on me today. And then she hands me a $5 bill, and she's like, and I was like, oh, like, thank you. You didn't have to do that. And she's like, yeah, you weren't worth it. You didn't deserve it. And I was like,
Great.
well, like she's
Okay.
right. I didn't deserve
Aw.
it. But to
Yeah.
me, like the number 5 is the number that's really came up over and over in my life, and it's
Mhm.
significant for grace.
Mhm.
And I just was thinking, I was like, like that lady's right. Like I didn't deserve her to give me a $5 bill to pay for her drink. Um, I didn't deserve that because I clearly messed up. And but to see like we all need grace, and
Mm.
like for me, it's like I want to extend grace to other people the way that like God extends grace to me, and I want to
Yep.
love people the way I'm loved. And sometimes I fall short. Sometimes I get frustrated and flustered, and people can see that. Um, and I think like I strive to bring humanity to business and
Mhm.
authenticity to business, and that comes with, hey, sometimes this world, it's like I get, hey, when you go somewhere, you want it to be perfect, because I'm the same way, and I want it to be perfect when I'm serving you. But I
Mhm.
think having to heal from the fact of realizing, and sometimes you got to slow down. Sometimes you have to have grace for yourself, and also for other people, and that is not easy. Like
Right.
that's definitely not easy, at least for me.
Right. I understand that totally. Yeah. Well, it sounds like your process is continuing to unfold every day there at Billy Goat, and everything that you're doing, the races and everything that you're doing as well. I love the fact that you are so involved in the community, that your heart of service is such a way that you're setting this environment that's extremely intentional about what it
Mhm.
is that you want to be doing, how you want to be doing that. But, all right, or should I say, and you're also willing to pivot. You're also willing to find humility, enough humility to go, you know what? I'm not going to get it right all the time, but I'm going to back up and do the best that I can, and I'm going to
Mhm.
offer what it is that I can offer. So I think that's to me that's a win on all fronts. And when we get to that place of servanthood, I
Mhm.
just there's so much beauty and there's so much healing in it. That's happened for me numerous times. And as our stories continue to unfold, it's going to continue to happen, and we're going to continue to bring those awesome stories. But the bigger question I
Yeah.
have for you is, what's your favorite coffee drink? Since you didn't drink coffee up until this a couple of years ago.
Yeah, for mine, it's a drink. It's a drink I came up with actually.
Okay.
It's on our Valentine's menu actually right now, and it's called the Chocolate Lovers. But it's white
Oh,
chocolate, milk chocolate, and toasted marshmallow. And
ooh,
it's everyone that's had it so far has been hooked on it. So
let's
it's
oh,
it's on the sweeter end, but it's really good.
okay. So have we turned you into a coffee connoisseur and a coffee lover? Because I'm just telling
Oh,
you,
for sure.
like Yeah. Like it's, I don't know what time of the day it is. It's late in the day and I got my coffee
Yeah.
mug right here. I love a good cup of coffee for sure. Well, hey, I just am so, so, so thankful for you being so transparent, so open, so vulnerable with your story and your words, and sharing so much of your heart and what drives you and what your beliefs are in that way. Because I
Yeah.
think that's what we're here to do is we're here to hear from other people. We're here to learn from other people.
Mhm.
And when we're authentically ourselves, I think that's such a beautiful piece that we bring to the community. And I think that's another level of serving community, just
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
being in ourselves. Yeah, for sure.
For
So
sure.
everybody go to Amazon, check it out. Bryan, Bryan Neely. It is Embrace Your Roar if you have a kiddo that needs a little bit of a confidence boost. And then you're going to get that too, as I know, right? From the parent reading the book, right? As we
Mhm.
talked about earlier. And Mile 17 devotional. I think that's a brilliant thing. And I love that you did that and like that extension of you. It seems like it's a really beautiful extension of you. So,
Yeah.
bravo for you for bringing that out. I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today. And tell your wife I said hello. She's a delightful, sweet lady. And let's all go to Billy Goat Coffee Cafe. If you are in the Mount Juliet area, you're coming through the Mount Juliet, Tennessee area. Chocolate lovers is what you said?
Chocolate lovers. Yep.
Okay, chocolate lovers or your best cup of coffee, whatever you like, right? And know that when you go in there, you're going to get served with the most humble and loving heart ever. So thank you so much, Bryan.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.